Hey guys!
I'm Amira.
And I'm Jenae.
And we are back with another video. If you click this time, you're here to see a PWI versus
HBCU.
And let's get started. Just to start things off, just so you know, I went to the University of Oregon.
And I went to the illustrious Howard University.
We both graduated with a bachelor's degree in journalism, and we're both living in New York now, living nice, healthy lives and working in our respective careers.
Yep.
Why did you choose Howard University?
I chose Howard University. To make a long story short, my freshman year I had actually went to PWI, American University. I liked the school, but it just wasn't really what I thought it would be in terms of academia, finances, and social life. I just felt like I wasn't getting the best college experience that I could get. So I wanted to stay in DC, and I wanted a school that was great in journalism, and Howard University was all of those things in one, so that's why I chose it.
I chose the University of Oregon because I'm from Oregon, and when I was applying to schools, a lot of the out-of-state ones, I realized I had to pay out-of-state tuition, and Oregon was giving me the best deal. I think I got the Pathway Scholarship, so I was able to have all my tuition and everything was taken care of. I just had to pay for housing, and the first year I needed to stay on the dorms. So that's honestly why I chose Oregon. And now that I think about it, I didn't really know much about that school before even choosing to go there.
You just were like, the money!
Like, they're giving me the most money. Their football team is really dope. I hear about them a lot. And then on top of that, like, just from the brochures, like, things look nice. Like, I remember a mentor was telling me they had a nice business program that I could do, because at the time I wanted to do business, because I wanted to do whatever major was going to make me the most amount of money going into college. You know, first generation student, you're thinking like that. So I was like, cool, I'll just go to Oregon. And that's honestly why I chose that school. What was your experience like on the academic side?
The academic side, it was really, really awesome. The classes were challenging. I felt like all of my classrooms, I got so much out of it. There was always discourse and conversation that made you think outside of the box. And in terms of like staff and faculty, I felt like they were a really great resource to tap into, whether it be for personal advice, career advice, or just like looking for opportunities and things like that. So academic-wise, it was stellar.
Academic-wise, I would say things were chill for me too as well. The only thing I ever really struggled with was like my math classes. I got a BS, which is a Bachelor of Science. Most people who do like journalism usually get a Bachelor of Arts, but because I started as a business major, I was already pursuing a Bachelor of Science. So I was only really struggled with like my math stuff, but that was only like the freshman year. Everything else was like pretty smooth sailing, or like I didn't necessarily struggle with it, but I realized I didn't like it. Like I didn't want to do it. Like I realized early on business wasn't for me. I wasn't passionate about it. I knew I liked writing and I liked video, so that's what pushed me into the direction to do journalism. And then on top of that, like I realized that my school had a really good journalism program, and that like they produced a lot of cool stuff. There was a lot of programs I could join as well. So I was like, that's what's going to be my academic thing going forward. So what would you say your school was like social-wise?
It was lit! You know, Howard is known for networking and all that other stuff, but we're also known for having a good old time. You want to go to a house party, you want to go to a kickback, you want to go to a bougie little event, we got that times 10 for you. I felt like every group, no matter what, you know, classification you were, whether you were like a nerd, a hipster, artsy type or whatever, there was always a space for you, which I really, really loved. And just because it was a bunch of black people doesn't mean that it wasn't diverse. And like going to all those social events, you got to meet people from different backgrounds and just like really, you know, kind of see the world in a way, which is cool.
I would say social-wise, at least for me, the first year I really struggled because it was a culture shock, because I am from Oregon, but I was like spoiled in the part of Oregon I was from, because I grew up around a lot of minorities and people that looked like myself. Once I got to the University of Oregon, it was very predominantly white, and I was not used to being like that only black person in a setting. So it's really hard for me to like branch out and like see where I fit in as far as social groups go. Like I knew sororities really weren't my thing, and then on top of that, like I wasn't with the sports crew at all, because I didn't really do sports like that. Living on the dorms, I will say your first year is one of the best things you can do, because you guys live together, you see each other every day, you guys potentially go to the same classes with each other. So it's like, that's one of the best settings I think you can do and to find your friends. Like I realized that people who like their first year of college that like decided to live in an apartment, their first year of college, struggled. Like, they didn't really know that many people. They weren't really that social. They didn't really have that many friends on campus. So
because I was a transfer student, it wasn't my experience. My first semester at Howard was a bit special because it was really hard for me to make friends. I didn't get housing basically my first year at Howard. So on top of being a transfer student, I was also a commuter, and it was just really, really difficult to just meet new people and get out of my comfort zone. But obviously that changed second semester because I really like pushed myself and just like made friends with people in my classes and went out of my way to join organizations and clubs and things of that nature. So
organization and clubs too are also where I met a lot of my friends, just like if we did Duck TV together or anything related to journalism.
Yeah.
Those were Greek life. Whether you went to a HBCU or a PWI, every school has Greek life. She didn't join a sorority, but you can maybe touch on like the Greek guys at your school.
So I mean, yeah, they're like, you know, the stereotypes of them being of certain, I'm not going to name any, you know who you are, certain organizations, especially fraternities, being really misogynistic and just like every single stereotype you can think of a fraternity, specifically a black fraternity. There were some that did live up to that, unfortunately, but I think for the most part, from someone outside looking in, it seemed like there was a greater sense of camaraderie and just like being together, especially because a lot of the chapters that were at Howard University were the first chapters ever established in the nation. So there was just that history and that prestige, and I feel like the people who were in those organizations really lived up to that.
For me, at least, I was never in any of it. Like, I had friends that were in sororities, so I kind of, like, could see through their lens, but I just, like, it was never my thing. And I would go to frat parties, too, and you would be exposed to a lot of that misogynistic stuff. And for me, also, like, a lot of microaggressions that I would hear, not only just about myself, but, like, people around me. So I would say, if you ever seen any movie about frats or anything, what is that movie called? Neighbors?
Oh, yeah, where they throw the party and stuff?
Now, as president of Delta Psi.
Party and stuff?
There was some stuff like that I saw happening that you kind of just gotta laugh at. Speaking of Greek life, though, let's touch on the parties.
I mean, I kind of already said this for the social stuff or whatever, but the parties were also really fun. But like you said earlier, you did run into a couple misogynistic things. So I didn't go to too many like frat parties. But the ones that I did go to, I did always have a good time. So I was just selective. It depended on which frat was throwing them. Then I would go or wouldn't go, you know.
At Oregon, like, I remember like from freshman year to sophomore year at least, like I was always either going to a house party, a party at somebody's apartment, 2125, or I was going to frat parties. You know, that was my thing, like freshman, sophomore year. But like if you were 21 and up, like we just went to the bars or something. Shout out to Taylor's. But the party setting was cool because like it wasn't just people from University of Oregon that went to the parties. Like we had a lot of like outsiders come in to the parties that made it 10 times fun.
We had the same thing. That's weird.
Moving on from parties though, let's talk about sports. I'll take the lead on this one because you know she ain't really got the sports team. I didn't even know Howard had a football team until 2018.
That's on you, but continue.
My football team, University of Oregon Ducks, Sco Ducks, they literally went to the championships. I think it was 2014. It was before I got to Oregon, and I went.
But yeah, she's still claiming it. Okay.
We went to do you know what you gotta do to get to the championship? We got beat by Ohio State, but it's whatever.
Okay. You got there. That's what counts.
And then our basketball team, like my freshman year, I think we went to Sweet 16, and then sophomore year we were like in the Final Four. So, and then our women's basketball team is really great too. And not only that, but we have like Uncle Phil behind us as a sports team. Like we have Uncle Phil, aka Phil Knight, not owner but creator of Nike. Went to University of Oregon.
That's cute or whatever. I'm gonna give it to you because I'm not gonna lie. I've never been so appalled, so disgusted, and so confused by a sports team. Sports at all at a specific university. When I tell you I only went to a handful of games my entire Howard University career, and that was because, unfortunately, you know, and I'm being general here, our sports team kind of sucks. Like, football team is trash. basketball team. The only team that I would say, or only teams that I would say that got a lot of recognition were the women's teams, which is like, hey, yeah. Like, our women's soccer was phenomenal. For some reason, our golf team was really good, and so was our bowling team. But if that kind of gives you a reference of what's going on, like, the major sports, you know, when you think of men's soccer or basketball or football, we just weren't in. I don't really know the stats about track. I never went.
Also, let me say, I went to her Howard homecoming this year, and we went to some event. What was it called?
The tailgate?
Tailgate for PWIs means something completely different for HBCUs. Actually, homecoming in general means something different, I think, at both schools. Like,
yeah, you guys are really like football.
Football, and then homecoming always also falls like around Halloween, where like everybody's just like, you have to go out, you have to dress up and get crazy. Like, that's always the time where homecoming is. So it's really just about playing whatever team we have to play that Saturday and then getting drunk. Like, that's what it is.
I mean, for us, it's more, at least for Howard, I think it's more about like the culture and like seeing the alumni and the current, you know, class, you know, and the generational differences come together and just celebrate the awesomeness that is Howard University. I mean, yeah, there's sports or whatever, but that's more like a little cute little sprinkle on top of everything that's going on. I don't think that's the big focus for us.
I just also want to point out one of the main things that I noticed that somebody actually told me when I was at the tailgate. At Oregon, like, we'll all get the same Oregon shirt. It doesn't matter. It could be green, yellow, white, and it'll say Oregon on it, and you can cut it up different ways and wear it however you want. At Howard, when we all wore the same Howard shirt, people were asking us, why are we all wearing the same shirt?
Yeah.
At Oregon, this is just so normal.
It's not.
At Howard, they were like, what are y'all doing?
We were cute though, so.
We was cute, but at the same time, I didn't know that was not okay there.
It's not that it's not okay, it's just not, well, because we're not known for our sport, so we're not going to,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Now on to the juicy stuff. Let's talk about dating, specifically in college.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I did nothing in college or whatever. But it wasn't with Howard University then. I did, like, talk to a couple, but it just never went anywhere because I feel like for Howard University specifically, the female-to-male ratio is really sad. It's, I would say about, for every 3 women, it's like 1 man. And I kind of feel like they kind of know that, and there's like a sense where it's like, oh, I get to pick whatever I want kind of thing, so I'm gonna, you know, just act a fool. And most of the time they did, at least in my experience. But like I said, I, you know, found my thing outside of the Howard pool, but in terms of the specific, you know, Howard University men, I didn't really get my cute little HBCU love story, but it's okay.
For me, at least, dating a PWI as a black woman, I think every person probably sees a really cute guy walking, and they always have to ask themselves this: does he date black women? And it's actually really sad, but that was a lot of my experience. Like, a lot of the guys that I liked, they either had a girlfriend back home, didn't find black women attractive, and they made that very clear by the type of woman that they dated, or they already had a girlfriend.
Or they were gay. I feel like that was more a Howard thing.
That was more a Howard thing. That didn't really happen too much with me. I would say with dating in college, you know, it is what it is. You're not always going to get the love and basketball story or the stomp the yard story that I thought I could have, but it's okay.
It's a fun time, though.
It is fun. Definitely fun. Moving on from what life was like while in college, let's fast forward to where we are now, which is postgrad. So how has postgrad been for you?
Honestly, I feel like postgrad for me has been completely and utterly amazing. I know a lot of people kind of go through a bit of a bumpy road in terms of like just like readjusting and things of that nature, but like I said before, tapping into my network and, you know, resources, I really felt like I made my own little Howard family and utilized the staff, faculty, and even like the lifelong friends that I made there in order to get me to where I am today. Because I can honestly say I don't think I'd be where I am today without my Howard family. Obviously also my real family and friends, but no, definitely Howard played a vital role in, you know, kind of the steps I took post-grad. I remember my first job outside of college I actually got because my professor told me about it, and she was like, I think you should really apply. This seems like something you would do, like something that would fit your criteria and your expertise, and you should really go for it. And that kind of embodies, you know, how I've carried my life post-grad in terms of just like pushing out of my comfort zone and just going for things. And I think all the skills that I learned at Howard really prepared me for, you know, the world.
Yes. For me, I would say the same thing as well. Life post-grad has been a lot great for me, not only because of the job that I have now, but also just I'm from Oregon, and Oregon is not diverse at all, in my opinion. To move to New York, a city that's just known for their diversity in all aspects, I think has been really life-changing for me, and also really made my experience 10 times better. Like, I remember interning in DC, and I was just so amazed that every store I walked in, there was just Black people everywhere. I wasn't used to this. I was like, I want to experience this all the time. So I think moving here right after college has been one of the best choices I ever made. And then on top of that, I think just staying in touch with my professors, and as well as talking to some of the people that are still in school and also people that I graduated with, always checking in with them, I think has made things a lot better. And also there's a lot of people from the University of Oregon that are still living out here, so it's really nice to touch base with them and see how they're doing, and know that like I have my, not a super big one, but there's a small hub of people that are like, you know, they went to the University of Oregon too, and they're out here in New York killing it. So I think having just that nice close-knit community is really dope. Yeah, seeing that things for us have been great post-grad, what advice would you have to say to like maybe a senior or a junior in high school right now, trying to maybe figure out where they're going to go? Should they do PWI, HBCU, you know?
I think the most biggest thing to note is that regardless if you choose a PWI or an HBCU, just know that it's a right choice because it's your choice. Personally, for me, I was really looking at a school that obviously was cost effective and wasn't like out of reach for me, and did, you know, give me some type of financial aid and scholarships and things of that nature, but also that was really amazing in the career field that I wanted to pursue. And it's okay if you don't know, you know, exactly what you want to do, but just look into the resources that they have for each major, and make sure that they at least have, you know, a really good career center or a great network of alumni or things of that nature. Just for me, I think that was like really, really useful in doing my research.
Yeah, and also just like when you're looking at the school, especially the cost factor, think of like what you're willing to take out, how far you're willing to travel, and just what you're willing to deal with. Like, I know when I was looking at colleges, I did want to go to HBCU, I did want to go to the private schools, but seeing how much it cost and how much I was going to have to take out in loans was just something that I knew I wasn't ready to make that big of a commitment on. So I think just figuring out what's right for you, making sure these schools have programs that you want to do or things that you could see yourself doing. There's flexibility there to like switch your major if you realize this isn't the right fit for you, because not everybody comes in knowing exactly what they want to do with their life, of course.
And that's perfectly okay.
Perfectly. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And I think just that type of stuff too, you know, make sure you're choosing also the college you want to go to because you want to go there.
That part.
And also you're majoring what you want to major in because you want to do it. Not because you want to make your parents happy, not because you want to do it for anybody else or you want it to look good for anybody else. Do it because it's something you want to do, because at the end of the day, this is what you have to spend your life doing.
Your entire life.
40 hours a week doing this. So.
And if you're not passionate about it, then there's no point.
Yeah. So who wins?
You already know, baby. We don't even have to discuss.
I think the D-League school should win.
Sorry. Okay. First of all, you know what? The academia, the brains. Did Obama speak at your convention?
We have Phil Knight, Uncle Phil. Okay.
But did the 45th president of the United States of America come to your school?
He's not even the 45th. He's 44th.
44th. You know what I meant. Actually, he is the 45th because I don't know who the other man is. 44th and 45th. I said what I said.
Mm-hmm. Howard low-key does win. But I'm just gonna rep it, you know, because I got my degree from there. But per usual, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And definitely will be sure to put out more content in the future.
See you guys later.